speech today is going to be on Godzilla. I know a lot of you have heard about him or seen him in the movies, and this song by Blue Oyster Cult talks about how the history of man shows the folly of men, how nature, doesn't like what's going on. And at first, when I started watching Godzilla, I thought it was all about, a monster comes, destroys Japan, and, what fun is that? And when I started doing some review on it for this speech, I found out in the Cinema Journal a paper written by, I don't have his name, written by somebody from up north back in autumn of 1987, where he was talking about how when Godzilla first came out, we thought here in America, oh, it's just a cheap version of the monster of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. But Japan actually had put this out 1 year after we disintegrated one of their islands with the H-bomb. They were very afraid of what we might do to their country, because we had already dropped the atom bomb on them. We were still in charge of Japan. We had just stopped our occupation in 1952. 1953, we disintegrated this island. 1954, this movie came out. They were totally afraid of us. They were afraid of what the radiation would do, how it could create monsters. They had seen, a total city wiped out, that we were going to destroy Tokyo next. So that's actually what Godzilla stands for. He was a radioactive monster in the first movie that was awakened by bomb testing. And that was done by us. So when they're yelling like them in the movie, they're speaking of the U.S. It wasn't just the monsters they were afraid of. After the first Godzilla came out, it became a Japanese icon. And actually, it went to many other countries, the movie. There were 16 sequels done after this. Godzilla was a symbolic attempt for Japan to deal with the nuclear attack that they had just been dealt in the previous years. He was the king of the monsters. He waged destruction across Tokyo. So from the first movie in 1954 up until 1965, he was the bad guy. He was coming up there, he was destroying things, he was the bad guy. But Japan was also having a lot of trouble with their industries. They were trying to sell stuff and people didn't want to buy it because it just, it had radiation poisoning and all their stuff was considered cheap. So then they went on to create several other movies. From 1965 up until 1990, you see where he comes and he's actually saving Japan. He fights Hedorah, he fights Mothra, he fights the sea monsters, and he becomes the savior of Japan. For many years, all the movies they wrote about, Godzilla was actually helping them by destroying other monsters that were attacking them. And this actually helped their industry grow. There was Mothra. I wanted to show you these because it's hard to explain all the monsters without actually seeing them. There was a three-headed one, there was a turtle, there was the moth, and then there was Godzilla 2000. This actually went back to Godzilla once again, being the bad guy. Or, well, actually, he kills another Godzilla that was created by aliens. But back in the 2000s, the end of 1990, he's back to being the bad guy again. I got a lot of this information off of IMDb. And this movie here, Godzilla Final Wars, where he goes and fights a lot of the monsters. Now, he is back to being a bad guy by Hollywood. He's compared to, like, the monsters on... Let me see. He's no longer a symbolic creature from Japan. He's just a bad guy, like the Jurassic Park predators. So, anyways, I hope that gives you a little more insight on what Godzilla, how he's used symbolically by Japan, and you know, some of it, the history on him. So he's just not your everyday monster. He actually meant something. He actually helped industries, and now he's back to just being a monster by us. That's it. Thank you.